So what is this all about? And I'm going to start with a story. Now, admittedly, this is an old story. It's been a while, but I'm going to share it with you anyway, because first of all, it's a very good story. And second, I'm going to show you how we've been replicating the same strategy with equal or better success in the time that has gone by. So this is still applicable, maybe even today more than ever. And I'm really excited to have all of you think about it and maybe give it a shot. So the story begins in a small, cramped, dinky office in Manhattan, in a where I was head of marketing for a marketing analytics startup called Custoa. This was the entire company at the time. I was the head of marketing, but I was also the marketing team, including content, PR, email marketing, name it. And back then, my experience doing content, PR, and B2B marketing was that I really like to read. I still do. So here I was sitting at this office with all of these dudes and thinking to myself, okay, what am I going to do about this B2B marketing stuff, and how am I going to drive the kind of sales pipeline that we needed to hit our very ambitious goals? And I'm going to jump right to the results of what I did. So this is an email that I got one day from Christina, who was back then an executive producer at Bloomberg TV. And she was asking me, is he, and by he she means the CEO of Custoa, available for TV on Bloomberg's Bottom Line on Monday, which happened to be Cyber Monday. And you can see that she was emailing me as a response to an email I sent her. It's a very simple text email I sent her, and the contents of the email, and let me take a step back. Custoa, again, a marketing analytics startup selling to enterprise retailers in the US, so folks like Nordstrom and Taylor, Zappos, and as such, at Custoa, we had access to a lot of data about how consumers in the US were shopping during the holiday season. So what we did was partnering data science and marketing, doing some pretty simple data analysis and coming up with interesting insights about the holiday season. So how many people are buying off of mobile devices? Are they buying on Apple versus Android devices? Are they converting from Facebook or Twitter, etc.? I summed up these interesting insights in a very simple text email, and I fired it off to a few hundred press contacts, reporters, producers, etc. And this is one of the responses I got. And, you know, they tell you that the best moments in life do not happen in front of a computer. Well, I can tell you this was a damn fine moment in my life. It was pretty awesome. And Corey, the CEO, did end up appearing on Bloomberg TV that Black Friday. And in the 3 years that I was there, and we repeated this holiday data analysis, data journalism effort, he ended up going on TV multiple times. One of the highlights of the campaign is Tim Cook, Apple CEO, who quoted some of our data insights in one of Apple's earnings calls, which was pretty awesome. And at some point, Bloomberg Terminal, so the financial terminal used by like tens of millions of finance professionals worldwide, started integrating insights from our data analysis. So a ton of traction that we got without investing any money at all into traditional PR and agency, etc. We did it all ourselves, and we got probably hundreds of mentions in publications, anything from niche retail publications all the way to mainstream media. Fortune magazine used our chart in the magazine. Business Insider was using our data next to companies, little known companies like IBM and Adobe. So super successful campaign with minimal investment of direct dollars, and also a really small team that was responsible for all of this. As promised, this is not a one-time success. We've been replicating the same playbook ever since, and I'm going to show you two additional examples from completely different companies and industries and time points. So Kiwi, digital publishing startup selling to enterprise publishers in the US, helping them distribute their content on social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram. And they had access to a ton of really interesting data around how people were engaging with content online, especially on Facebook, topics they were being attracted to, etc. And we use this data to do some analysis and pitch it to one publication only called Digiday, which is really like the Wall Street Journal of the publishing industry. It's like a daily publication. Everyone reads it. And look at how many mentions we got thanks to our data analysis. So we did a one-off analysis around the elections. We did something around Super Bowl using our data. You can see here that Digiday took our data charts as is, including our logo, and just planted them in an article. Later on, when COVID hit, we did really interesting analysis around how COVID was impacting advertising prices on Facebook. We got like a really nice mention on Digiday, and it just kept delivering in a very similar way. Third story, completely different space. This is fintech. TrueAccord is a scale-up based in San Francisco in the space of digital debt collection, so very different. They have fascinating data around how US consumers are paying back debt and engaging financially with their creditors. And same, so shortly after COVID hit, we did a really interesting deep dive analysis on their data, produced a research report around how consumers were engaging with their debt in the times of early COVID. And we use that research report as the basis for like an integrated marketing campaign across different channels. So you can see here, we had newsletters, we had social media, we did a press release and reached out to the press about it. And the results were a lot of noise, a lot of interest from both the press, our audience, niche publications, mass media publications, clients, prospects. So a ton of buzz and a lot of positive interest and help with both marketing, sales, brand awareness, etc. More recently, TrueAccord published another really interesting data journalism report around the buy now, pay later phenomenon, which Lauren will be telling you all about it in a bit, but it's a really hot topic. TrueAccord jumped on this trend, did some data analysis, and again, we did a whole campaign around it. And lastly, I want to show you a really cool example of variation on this notion of data analysis and data journalism. I'm sure you're all familiar with this concept of like a year in review, where you show your company's accomplishments for the year, how many new employees you recruited, etc. With TrueAccord, we produced a year in review mini site for them last year. And we used our data analysis to highlight some of their accomplishments in a data-driven way. And okay, so this is the year in review mini site, and you can see that every once in a while we sprinkled some of the data insights. So, for example, here we have a data point that consumers who use flexible data payment plans are less likely to drop off their plan. So just an example of using these data insights and analysis in pretty much anywhere. So let me go back to the presentation. No, sorry. Okay. Can you see it? Yeah. Okay. So I really encourage each and every one of you to take a step back and think, how can I deploy a similar playbook at my company, even now with the data and people I have on my team? You need some interesting data. I let you in on a secret. It doesn't even have to be unique. You need to be able to do some pretty rudimentary data analysis. I wouldn't even call it data science. And start small. It doesn't have to be elaborate as the customer example to begin with. Start small, start manual, see if you're getting any traction. If you do, lean into it, automate it, make it bigger, make it whole campaign around it. But I'm very keen on hearing the kind of ideas that this may have sparked in your head about how this can work at your company.